Because, that's the reason why I got fired from Astroworld. So when I worked at Astroworld, our amusement park.
You worked there?
Yeah, I worked there for a long time. So Astroworld.
How long is a long time?
Basically for 2 summers, so 2 years, because I was there for... 2 years is a long time working. I mean, come on, I was only 13 and 14
The other day,
years old.
I said something about an experience you had, and Michael was like, "This dude is the cat with 9 lives."
That wasn't me. That was Michael. When I kicked you.
Welcome to the APECS Podcast. It's been a minute,
back.
but we wanted to give you our farewell show. Ha ha! April Fools! This episode won't come out until next week anyway. How have you guys been?
Been good.
Great. No, we actually had a great show last week. That's exactly how it was. Silence. Are we supposed to speak of that, or are we?
Yeah, we did. The reason it's been so long is we had an awesome guest. Goes by Oma Jenkins. Is Michael's mom, who was born in Germany, immigrated to the U.S., and we got a lot of awesome perspective on the U.S., on immigration, and a lot of these different topics. Her experience as a single mom for a time, and all of our microphones were off for the entire podcast. So here we are with no guest once again, and we will get her back next week.
No, looking forward to speaking to her again. That was fun. That was a good... Well, it doesn't matter. That's one of those kind of things that when you watch a movie, the movie never comes back out again or it gets cut off, and you're like, man, it was great. You should have watched it. There's nothing else more I can say, but it was awesome. I considering that she's your mom...
When has anyone released and unreleased a movie?
I know.
Y'all never... I keep on forgetting y'all not my age. Yeah, there's a lot.
What are you talking about?
There's a name for the particular kind of movie. They're usually scary, more realistic movies. What are they called? But
Horror?
no, they're not horror. I don't.
Thriller.
If you Google it, it might be bad. I might be thinking about something else.
Thriller.
Not thriller. I'm gonna have to find. Not. I don't think they're bad. They're more of like horror films. They're very realistic horror films. They used to be popular in the 70s.
I don't think that exists.
Google realistic horror films in the 70s. Because I was watching them in the 80s.
How's that going to give us results of unreleased movies?
If they were made in the 70s and they went away in the 80s...
No, they're made in the 70s and they were shown for just like a small period of time, and then they had to take them off, so not everybody had a chance to see it. So if somebody had a chance to see it, they're like, oh, cool, I saw it. Oh,
Limited edition movies?
God, oh man, it's right. Man, I really want to know this. I'm going to find it for you. But anyhow.
You're not even looking for it. How are you going to find it for me?
I don't have my laptop.
He can't even find C4s, and he's the dealer.
They were in your trunk. They're in your
What is
trunk.
going on with the TV?
Don't definitely whatever I'm talking about. Do not.
So
put
a
that
lot
on the
has
screen.
happened in the last couple weeks. We've had mysteriously 3-4 bridges fall in the U.S. due to being struck by cargo ships, all randomly. Have you guys seen the Netflix movie, The World We Left Behind? Something like that. Newer, 2023, maybe 22. The World We Left Behind?
Leave the World Behind?
Leave the World Behind, yeah, on Netflix. So basically, I only got about halfway through it so far. But the basic plot is technology goes down. All the ships lose their GPS signal, and they start crashing. That's the first thing that happened in the movie. People lose their cell signal. All communication is down, and the whole world just starts to fall apart. I'm telling you, everything that has happened in the last 6 months happened in that movie. So, kind of wild. It's kind of like looking at those memes of The Simpsons. Have y'all seen all the predictions?
That is wild.
Down to some very specific
There's
details.
over 400.
Very weird.
So apparently the Simpsons predicted the NCAA basketball tournament like 4 or 5 years ago. They predicted who was going to be playing in here, so that could be
They
pretty
predicted
realistic.
the year the Queen died. They had like the exact shot of Donald Trump on the escalator. They had, I mean, just a
Don't
lot
put
of
it on the
weirdness.
screen. That was in the 70s.
The idea of movies. What did that say?
No, don't read it out loud. Because now I'm looking at, this is not something we want. But yeah, that's what they're called. It's like they would release it, only like a few people would be able to see it, and they would, it would be removed, or because they were pretty graphic horror movies.
Well, it's a horror movie made that people were actually getting murdered.
I didn't say it was great. Yeah, no, there were actually movies of people actually getting, they made it into a movie. They would have people actually murdered, and along with the script, but obviously the people who were murdered did not know that they were going to be part of it. So when the films were released, it was like if you saw it, people would be able to speak about it, and it drew such excitement on me because it was so different, and obviously. What? Look at your face. Hey, I'm not the director of them. I'm just telling you about what
Did people go
happened.
to prison for this?
Well, y'all heard about Alex Baldwin, right? When he's like a director, and he was casting some sort of movie, and there was a prop, like a gun.
The prop gun. Well, he was the one who
And-
actually used it.
Well, he was the director,
Mm-hmm.
and then the main person was supposed to shoot someone, and it was actually a real gun, not a blank, or I think it was a real gun with it was supposed to have a blank in it, but it didn't.
So can you imagine how, just for that, I mean, it drew a lot of publicity towards him, and I know he went to trial, and I think they're still trying to wait. But could you imagine, like, they were actually making movies in the 70s where the people did not realize they were part of a film, and they were actually getting murdered in real life.
What gets me about the Alex Baldwin thing, though, is you look at any video on that situation, news reports, and all the comments are filled with people saying, don't care about the sob story, you killed somebody, you should have checked your gun, yada yada, all your sorries and all your, however long you spend in jail isn't going to make up for lost lives, which I understand, but we're all just going to act like if we were handed what was supposed to be a prop gun,
Right.
we would go through all the safety you know what I mean? Like
you're
on a movie set.
Yeah.
Why in the world would there be a live round in that gun? It makes no sense. And he's gonna maybe point it at the ground and all the basic, just fundamental things that you remember when you're carrying a firearm. But when it's time to point the gun and shoot it, thinking there's a blank in there, he's gonna point the gun and shoot it. He's an actor. He's not supposed to be a trained professional with a firearm. He's supposed to have a prop gun, and so the whole situation is just wild to me.
I mean, I think
sad situation.
I think you have probably a little bit more experience to speak on it than us. I mean, you've actually done music videos or basically small movies. So if somebody said, "Hey, I have this idea," and they come over and they give you a gun, and you're on a music video, I mean, are you going to check it? Are you going to double check? Are you going to?
Yes, because at my
Freaking Johnson.
well, at my level,
Why did I know that he was going to say that? Yeah.
at my level, meaning very low level, they're probably handing me a real gun because we're not spending money on prop guns and all that sort of stuff. So yes, I'm gonna make sure it's empty. But if I'm on a multi-million-dollar movie set where they have very realistic looking prop guns and all of that, and I've been acting for 20 years and I'm very used to these ultra realistic looking prop guns, I'm gonna pick it up, think it's just like every other prop gun I've ever shot. I don't know. And if it is supposed to be a real gun with a blank, there's people who are in charge of putting blanks in these guns, and you're leaning on them. He probably shoots these things hundreds of times over his career, and the one time somebody does something stupid, I just don't understand why that's on him. It's still sad, and yes, a reminder to always treat a gun like it's loaded and all those sorts of things. But his job description was to point it at someone and pull the trigger. And people are mad at him for pointing it at someone and pulling the trigger. I think we should be mad at the person who put a live round in
because
that
they
thing.
have the people who are responsible for the stunt coordination. They have everybody who's responsible for it. So the equipment.
For what reason was there even a live round on set?
Right. So
Makes no sense.
There's a lady that Hannah Reed is the armorer who oversaw the firearms on the set, and she's the one who handed Baldwin the gun, and so he went and performed his scene, and it accidentally discharged. I mean, which I don't think is a proper terminology. It discharged with a live round, but he did pull the trigger. So, you know, anyways, they dropped the charges on Baldwin, but they're still charging the other lady, the Hannah lady, with involuntary manslaughter.
Right. But
that makes sense because her whole job was to make sure people are safe.
And that's Baldwin's defense.
Right. It's not supposed to be on anyone else at all. There shouldn't should not even be live rounds on set. I don't even understand how you get that mixed up.
But wasn't he still being sued civilly for negligence?
He settled on the civil.
Yeah,
on one
see,
civil
that's what's crazy is that I think he did that out of the and I'm assuming he did it out of the kindness of his heart, that he knew that it was done on purpose. But I think, and that's kind of tricky thing about the way the laws go, because even if you are found innocent in a criminal, you can still be sued in a civil. That's why, like OJ, that's a bad example, but he still was sued in a civil court and still had to pay out.
Right.
So it's so crazy how you can still be found guilty in a civil aspect of it, but not criminal. Because it was the same thing with him. He decided to settle out, but I think he wanted to just go ahead and get out the way so he can move on. And, fortunately, probably for him, he had the money to, be able to pay off. But if you're found innocent criminally and you know who was at negligence, for the people to come after him, it was probably just because of the money.
So she was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter on March 6, 2024, and so she'll face up to 18 months in prison and a $5,000 fine.
I wonder what she was thinking. Can it be an oversight? But no, I guess
say 5 months and $5,000.
No, 18 months, $5,000.
Oh, forget that. Just for the simple fact that you have your responsibility to make sure there's no real bullets in a gun,
yeah, it's a bad thing to mess up.
They say that she was pretty experienced, that she's been on sets,
I guarantee you she won't be on another one.
Yeah, no, for something
but
like
that. But it just makes you take a step back for a second when you do the same task over and over and over and over again. You just gotta be, especially with something like that, you just gotta be on your game. You cannot, because people get so comfortable with their task, and she's just handling guns. She's just comfortable. She may have been distracted. There's a billion things. It doesn't make her innocent. It just it should be a reminder to all of us to.
But doesn't that go based on the level of dangerous? What's the word? I'm gonna make up
danger.
Word. No, well, the level of danger, is that how you say it?
Dangerousnification.
Dangerousnification. Yeah. But doesn't that? I think that would more apply to what's your position and what you're doing. That you have to be. There is no, slacking or not thinking of what you're going to do. There's no in between. It's either you got to do this or you do that, because you got people's lives and.
Well, it's like all these cases that have come up in the last couple of years of nurses who've given someone the wrong medication by accident and people die. Now,
anesthesiologists.
Yeah, those sorts of situations, because now at the end of the day, should you be scared to go to the doctor because of that? Probably not, because we're talking about 5 terrible accidents out of however many hundreds of thousands or millions of doctor's appointments happen across the United States every day or across the year. But still, there's been argument as to whether they should be able to criminally prosecute in those situations. But if you decide we're going to criminally prosecute nurses for negligence, our producer is dying.
I like how we all just kind of stare. I'm like, do you need me to Heimlich you? Because I'm afraid I'm going to crack your ribs when I try to hug you.
Heimlich you.
I didn't just want to say that word.
Who is the most famous death in history?
The most famous
Jesus.
death in history. I'd have to agree with that. But
you don't but Jesus. It is Jesus.
Okay, so he is a famous one. Okay, so second?
Well, I didn't pull that up.
I'm trying to think, because there was a recent article that came out about, just like what Jonathan was saying, about how, Michael Jackson. Jesus, Michael Jackson. I think they're close. for his accident.
Hitler's death was pretty big.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying about
Yeah.
accidental death where they were given medication.
Genghis Khan,
But no, I'm saying that for people who were given medication
Alexander the
for
Great,
their
Napoleon.
well-being, and they died. But they all
Napoleon
died
was a big
of
one.
natural causes.
What
and
about the
people,
what is the saddest celebrity death?
Saddest?
Betty
Kobe.
White? I bet
Kobe.
you. Oh yeah, Kobe for sure. But
I don't know that I would put him in. I mean, I guess yeah.
He's not a celebrity? What?
Well, I mean,
Kobe. It was the fact that
Robin
Kobe
Williams.
died with his kids. Yeah, but Robin Williams,
Yeah.
man, that
Dude, the
so
Kobe...
maybe change it to actor because these are all actors.
Because the
But-
Kobe, I don't know. I'd still have to put that sadder than Robin Williams
because he died with
his
his kids.
daughter, man.
And they
That's-
showed about how he was covering her and how they found the bodies that he was wrapped, over. I was like, that right there is what hit it. But Robin Williams is because of the fact of what he brought to the world. And there was a great quote that he actually said.
Was that an athlete?
Who was
No.
it?
He's in a
Oh.
movie. He's playing Jackie Robinson,
oh,
Chadwick Boseman,
yeah, that was a good movie.
Paul Walker.
Yeah,
That was sad.
that's why I don't get into any fast cars.
Heath Ledger.
Self-induced.
I didn't know this guy died. The guy who played Severus Snape,
Which one?
Harry Potter. Severus Snape.
Oh, did he?
He died.
Yeah, I didn't
Alan
know that.
Rickman. Oh, and Hagrid, the big dude.
Oh yeah, from Harry Potter.
Tupac.
Yeah. Tupac.
What's the name of the guy who played Joker? Went crazy.
That's Heath
Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger.
That
you say?
that is
Heath Ledger. Heath
not-
Ledger.
you wouldn't typically think of that as sad, but that actually is.
He OD'd though, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was a good actor.
that actually is
Yeah.
extremely sad.
I think with the, especially when it comes to because like Robin Williams, they say the saddest, but there was so much controversy about his death, about how people wanted to praise him, but people were basically calling him a coward for taking out. But I mean, his whole life was meant to try to create happiness and joy to people. Like nobody ever, well, I'm assuming nobody ever thought to say, "Hey man, are you okay? You good?" Like it just. I mean, because he had a great quote. I actually have it on my phone about how his life was meant to just create happiness to other people, but then nobody ever asked him if he was happy. I mean, basically,
Yeah.
that was said a few months
Man.
before he.
You see that movie Patch
passed.
Adams?
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
So I mean, that's why we always talk about how we're always trying to follow up with each other and check on each other. I mean, that's a good point.
How are you, Alex? You doing okay?
I was until I realized I didn't have no dinner. I'm hungry.
You know what we didn't have?
But Jonathan gave. Hey, no, what we did, we got the C4, and then Jonathan shared half his burrito with me, and that was really good.
Jonathan also provided the C4. Jonathan also provided the studio.
So right now, Jonathan
Via
now
White.
is up there with my Jesus. He fed me.
Bring me down just
No pressure.
Sad.
I'm his disciple now. He said, "Here, take this. This is the food of my body and the blood of the." And I was like, "Yes, Jonathan."
It was a bean burrito.
Wow, our beloved.
If
Producer
anything, that's
was-
fruit of your body.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Okay, so you had a meet where you competed in powerlifting and you dropped a ton of weight. Tell us about that journey.
No, we haven't talked about that since then. Yeah, I'm still suffering from
That's
there.
why I brought it up.
Yeah, thank you. No, that's probably why I need more food. I dropped 15 pounds in 1 week, which I would advise to anyone that is not safe, not healthy, and I don't want to say not smart. If you have a goal and there's certain things you
Not
have to
safe,
do,
not healthy, but it's smart. That
Wait,
doesn't sound right.
if you want to, yeah,
There's so
If you
much
have-
I want to say.
yeah, if you have a goal in mind, but
Let me ask you
You
this.
were looking kind of refried.
yeah, big time. I was just a bean burrito. I used to be like a enchilada burrito, but I was a bean burrito.
You were just
Bro,
like,
you were a taquito.
sad
Yeah.
and-
A taquito, yeah, I think that's more like it. God, I was struggling.
You were.
sorry.
You look like it. You
But-
look sick, bro.
But yeah, and
Good job.
It took a little it took a little while for my body to get back to it, but I'm telling you the mental aspect behind that, I actually put myself to that challenge. It made me realize one thing. I feel bad for people who don't have food to eat. And you know that I've cut weight probably I guarantee you at least 25 times. Never thought about that.
I thought you were going to say, it made me realize one thing. I'm never doing that again.
No, actually, it didn't make me because I think I would do it again. But I'm telling you, that was the craziest thing. And I think it has a lot to do with my surrounding. I think it had to do with y'all. I think teaching me of how to be more appreciative of life and other people, sacrifices with, obviously, this past weekend with Easter and with Jesus' sacrifice, I'm like, why am I doing this when I have the ability to eat and drink water and eat food, and there's people who can't? That's what kind of motivated me to keep it, because I'm like, this is what I chose to do because I'm sacrificing something that I want, and I'm going to stick with it. But all I could think was like, man, I feel bad for people who, because I went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, basically with no water and just food. And I'm like, man, that's tough. So you think about the people that, they don't have it. Obviously they're in a situation where they have they just can't, or I don't know. But
well, I applaud you for your mental stability or your
fortitude.
Yeah, just to get through it. I mean, that's no easy feat, and you said 15 pounds in a week, and I probably would challenge that for someone who may be obese and they're trying to cut. They do no exercise, then all of a sudden they're doing 7 days of exercise in a row or whatever. They could probably do 15 pounds pretty easily from going from not working out at all to doing some workout. So I would probably challenge you there in that. But you're a fit person, you're a gym owner, and you're
very little body fat to lose. You're just strictly stripping yourself of water weight down to the nothing.
I was hoping that no one would be here when I had to cut out those last few pounds, but then when you guys started showing up, I think the one person who was more surprised, probably because he doesn't know me as long, has known me as long, is CB. Like, he literally gave me a look in his eyes like, I can help you, just wink. Like, he kept on walking over there to me, and he's like,
can you not wink?
Hey, not when I was cutting that weight, because I was just like, and he was like, hey, you good? And then it was just like, I think he was like afraid, like or that his kids were there and he didn't want his kids to see a dead body or something. I don't know, but because even his daughter came on, she was like, hey, you want to play? And I was like, no. Like, they were shooting the basketball, and I just didn't want nobody around, and like everybody was just trying to talk, and of course Michael was gonna be Michael. What's wrong, bud? What are you doing? What's going on? You okay? Well, you're looking awfully sickly there.
Hey, he got me on a meet into this month.
Oh yeah,
nice.
But we're not gonna go through no weight cut.
But how did you do?
Yeah, I am.
No. You're going to be out there with us.
I'm like 173 right now. I've been cutting.
No, no, you're not 173.
Yes, I am.
No.
Okay. Anyway.
Just because I look super swole doesn't mean I haven't been cutting weight.
Solid.
Anyways.
Oh, yeah, anyway.
How'd you do in your competition?
I think that it was worth it for me. I did achieve my goals. I did set state records for Texas in my age group in the deadlift and
in girls?
The final total. I did not go in there as a other person. I went in as a male. I signed up as a male, and then I ended up being male. I ended up number 9th out of the United States for my age group with overall total. So that's exactly what my goal was. That's the only thing I was focused on, and it was good. I think the well wishes, everybody encouraging. Like, I did not want to give up because I barely made weight. I had to be exactly at 165, and I weighed in my birthday suit exactly at 165. Like,
birthday
no less
suit?
Oh, for sure. I warned the judge ahead of time. Well, it's funny because I warned one of the judges. I said, hey, man, I'm going to let you know right now, I'm going straight to my birthday suit. And he goes, I don't feel like dealing with it this early. So he gave my card to another judge without telling them. So then when the other judge walked in, he was like, all right, Alex, go ahead and jump on the scale. And then he turned around, he goes, okay. And I was like, I'm sorry, man. This is the way it's happening. And I just got out of a cold pool.
I don't understand the reference, but I'm glad you met. I'm glad you met your goals, man. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you, man. I got my certificate on.
He had to sacrifice that half a pound.
See, I got my certificate and everything on Friday, which did not. This is another thing I realized. So
Said Big Al.
I wish if I would have put my own nickname, I would have. But so I realized another thing that I used to be a big thing. It used to mean a lot to me to get your name on something, whether it was a certificate, whether it was an education,
Speeding
like
ticket.
degree. That one I had plenty. I mean, I've had over 75, but
No way. Do you have 75 speeding tickets?
oh, probably over. No, I think that,
There's
I
no
probably-
way. There's no way you would still have your driver's license. You'd have too many strikes.
I would guarantee you, I was probably maybe. Hey, just to look on your face when you're able to just like look up. No, I guarantee you, from the time that I was probably 15 to now, my first ticket when I was 12. I mean, probably from there. I mean, I'm probably in the hundreds.
There's no way. I'm just telling you.
I would pull up. I'm not proud of it, but I'm just saying that. Aside
If you
from
get 4 or more traffic
Yes,
violations
yes,
in
I
1
know,
year,
I know.
or
They
you
do
get
the
7
point
in a
system.
24-month period, you get your license
right.
suspended.
So I was literally like,
You're not
pointing
over
something-
100.
I'm not proud of it, but I'm telling you, I know for a fact.
Dude, my
I'm
brother
over
was
that.
really close to getting his license suspended, which I don't even know how you get that many tickets in a
Yes.
year or in 2 years. Makes no sense, dude.
I-
I was a horrible driver when I was younger. I totaled like 3 cars.
Was?
And I only ever got like 2 actual tickets.
2.
I don't know. I don't know how. What you guys are saying to these officers.
I got 3 tickets in one day. Like,
What are you-
3 speeding tickets in one day. One in the morning, one leaving from the meeting, and then one in the evening time leaving from the gym. So they were off from HPD, and they're like, "You just were pulled over like 4 hours ago." I said, "Your officer, it's just my bad." Like,
Your
'cause
officer?
I don't even like speeding. I don't even like,
You don't like
racing.
speeding. You had over 100 speeding tickets apparently.
It's always because I was
There's-
late or I'm trying to get somewhere. But I
So
never.
you
I've
do
never,
like speeding.
Oh. No, I have never had any roast profile. I got the tickets because I deserved it. Never try to drag race anybody or try to
Just
like.
the cop.
It's just. Well, no, I pulled over when the
He's
lights
like,
came on.
he's listening to David Goggins in his headphones. He's like, your only competition is yourself. He's like, that's right, rev it.
No, I mean, it was my luck that even when I would leave the gym and drink my protein shake, and that was back in the days when you would drink a protein shake that had like 70 grams of protein, which made you use the restroom. I was pulled over at least 3 times for trying to speed home because I had to use the restroom. And I'm telling the officer, I just need my ticket. And they're like, what's wrong? I said, I have to use the restroom, and I get my ticket. Like, different stuff like that. Like, I never was just like blatantly saying, oh, I need a need for speed. I'm going to,
That
I'm gonna
is
be
exactly
vicious.
what you were saying when you said I gotta go potty when they drive home real fast.
Bro, I did get pulled over on the way to work one time. This officer, throws lights on. I pull over. At this point, I didn't know what I was being pulled over for, but I figured I was speeding or something. He walks up, hey man, you know why I pulled you over? It's like, honestly, I don't. He said, well, you were kind of driving a little bit recklessly. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, oh, was I? He said, well, I've been following you for a while, and man, you were weaving in and out of traffic. He's like, you look kind of hyped. You just came from the gym? I was like, yes, sir. He's like, pre-workout? Yes, sir. He's like, C4, isn't it? I mean, like, down to the brand. I was like,
You have low T?
I was like, yeah, it's C4. He's like, I feel you, man. I feel you. Hey, license and registration. He takes it back. He comes back up. He's like, all right, here you go. Slow down and don't drink more than one of those a day. They can be dangerous. It's like, yes, sir. Appreciate it. And I just drove off.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I hadn't tanned in a while. It helped.
My skin was my sin, even though I'm just as white as
Bro,
Jonathan.
no,
But still.
you cannot use that.
Yeah,
You
when
were
they see my
asking-
driver's license and they
No,
see
you
my
were
name,
asking,
Alejandro
can you just write the ticket? I gotta go home and pee. Can you just write the ticket? You were
Don't look at my
asking
trunk
for the
and just-
ticket.
Just don't look at my trunk. Don't look at my back seat. Just give me my ticket.
You just
Yeah,
kill him
of
with
course.
kindness. I'm sorry, officer. I was speeding. I'm sorry.
No,
Officer, all
always
the stuff I
admit
threw out the windows back there.
it. Yeah, there was never a time that I got a ticket and tried to dispute it with the officer. I got my ticket, but then when I went to court, of course, I fought it. Like I was, so the
You're
secret
such a good
is
person.
you get a ticket, you reschedule it, you keep on rescheduling it with the court, after about 6-7 months of rescheduling it, the cop would never show up at the court, and I would always get the tickets dismissed. So.
And this is your weekly update from Alex
on how to beat a speeding ticket.
So I got hit by a drunk driver one time. It was actually in a company vehicle at the company James works for, and I previously worked for. I was on my way home and passed a bar parking lot, and it didn't register to me that that's where I was at. But this car comes up to the exit, and I see him, and I was like, oh, are they gonna jump in front of me? No, we're good. They stopped. Right as I'm passing them, they just like mashed down on the accelerator. And I tried to get past them, but they clipped my tail in and went in the ditch on the other side. So I'm like, man, what is this dude doing? So I pull over to the side. My back end's all messed up, but I
sprays them with pest control.
Scrape my way into the parking lot. Still did not realize I was in a bar parking lot. Like, it just had not hit me yet. So I'm checking the truck. I'm going to check on him because he's in the ditch. He gets out. He goes, "Are you okay, man?" I said, "Yeah, you good? You bumped up?" He said, no, I'm good. So he comes over and we start to swap information. I say, well, I'm just going to get some pictures and whatever, and then I'll see if I can get this thing home. And he's like, oh, I'd appreciate that, man, because if we could not call the cops. Between me and you, I've had a few drinks.
Oh, man, that sucks.
And I am a snitch.
Beep,
so
beep,
I
beep.
went beep, beep, beep. And, yeah, I watched this guy from a distance do their field sobriety test or whatever. You're all over the place. It's like it had started to hit him when I was talking to him, but by the time the cops got there, oh man, he was gone.
In that instance, yeah. If
I
he would
kept
have been
getting-
able to be a little, if he would have been able to kind of communicate with you a little bit more, and if he'd been on, look, man, I only had 2 drinks. I'm really good. I just didn't see you, and you can tell. But if he started acting crazy, yeah.
Well, why would he bring up the drink? Like, I didn't even realize he came from a bar until he told me he came from a bar. That's how drunk he was.
Sorry, Jonathan. I was at that bar.
Yeah, I know. He just starts spilling the beans. So anyway, yeah, I was getting these letters in the mail saying, hey, like giving me victim resources and all of this, and inviting, good grief, inviting me to the court day to testify against him and all this stuff. I was like, y'all do your trial, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't got time for that. I have things to do, and so I never showed up. But yeah, his temporary tag on the back of his car was like 4 years expired.
Oh.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a stolen vehicle or something. I mean, it probably turned out really bad for that guy.
Never been that bad. I just got tickets just for trying to get somewhere from point A to point B.
Hey, my truck is legal now. I don't know if I told you, but I definitely told you I had bought a truck and then lost the bill of sale and the title.
Oh, dang.
I thought it might have been stolen from the truck or something because I had it in there. And I don't know if it was me or my wife or who, probably her, or else I would think I would remember it. But I think she took it out and put it up and then forgot that happened. And so we were looking
and forgot
everywhere.
that it happened and forgot where she put it?
Yeah, I guess. Or it was me and I'm just
Definitely
that, I don't know. Mark that time down. But flipping, I just like 2 days ago, after like 3 months, finally found the paperwork. So I'm way past the legal limit of like getting the tags switched over to my name and whatever. But I'll pay the fines or whatever. My truck's officially legal.
So you did find the paperwork.
I just found it the other day. So
Where you left it?
I was at the point where I was like, well, if I get pulled over in this thing, they are for sure going to think I stole it. Like,
I don't think they will, but
I called my cop buddy and I was like, so here's the thing. And he's like, all I can tell you is keep all the screenshots of like the sale communication that the car was listed to try to protect yourself. He's like, up to cops' discretion. If you get pulled over, they can impound the vehicle if they want, but they probably won't. But if it's listed as stolen for some odd reason, you're going to jail and they're impounding the car, so you really need to get your paperwork figured out. So anyway, found it. My truck's legal now.
Found out where you left it.
Yep.
Stop blaming your wife. I can see you putting the paperwork somewhere. I mean, it happens.
I can too,
Yeah, I can see
to be fair.
So you never got a speeding ticket or what?
Just the thing is, I can't picture myself putting it up. You know what I mean? I still would have just left it in the truck. That's a wife thing to do, to actually like put it up somewhere neat.
Yeah. I 100%. I would have just left it in the car. I mean, that's what I would think that you would want to keep it, but I guess. women would be more responsible.
I file mine in a filing cabinet
For sure, 100%. Because you're Michael
Where's your
Jenkins.
filing cabinet in your house?
in my bedroom next to my
100%.
desk.
Does it have a
100%.
key hidden somewhere? Where's the key hidden?
It's just unlocked. I mean, we don't lock it.
That is about the most.
What's your address?
Yeah, that's about the most Michael Jenkins thing to say. In the filing cabinet, in my office, in my room.
I'm not saying we're perfect. We're actually in the middle of decluttering our house. Man, we have too much stuff. Like, we made a new rule at the house. If our daughters get like a new stuffed animal or a new dress or whatever, they have to remove one.
Amen
To get a
to
new
that.
toy, you have to get rid of a toy.
Well, that-
Because it's
yeah.
just like we're overrun
Yeah.
with toys. It's just gotten crazy.
Man, we did a lot of deep cleaning like week before last, and I paid this high school kid in our neighborhood to haul stuff off. But I mean, it was a truck bed piled up with straps full, and still piles of garbage at our road, just lined up for a couple weeks worth to get all of this junk removed. Granted, part of it was like an old mattress and a couple things, but some of it was just stuff that was in closets that I don't even know why we had it. And we've only been married for 5 years, so I can't imagine some of these people who've lived in their homes for 20, 30 years or whatever. Oh my goodness. Your father-in-law's house, man, when they go and you guys have to clean that place out, I am so sorry.
I feel bad for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law.
I actually helped them declutter some stuff a few years ago. So about half of
Yeah.
it's gone. There's still a lot, though.
There is.
So, Alex, what do you think of this?
Hello? So is saying oh my God a sin? What's your take on that?
I mean, I wouldn't do it. I'm not sure that that's really what taking the Lord's name in vain means, but just as general reverence, I wouldn't say it.
Yeah. So that you glorify or honor his name
Right.
in all things and not use it as a whatever that would be used, whatever that be called.
Exclamation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you say G's?
I used to. My wife got onto me for that.
No, my wife told me the same thing. I'm like,
And I think I got it from you, too.
Wild.
Wild. No, yeah, so I heard somebody do kind of a study on, it wasn't because of OMG, I don't think, but just a study on what it meant to take the Lord's name in vain. And I think it culturally had more to do with like taking an oath on, same principle as don't swear on anything, heaven or earth kind of principle. So, you know, saying I swear to or whatever, I think is probably what that refers to more, but I don't really remember.
so yeah. I mean, it's just an article here, but it's talking about the commandments where it says, "Do not take the Lord's name in vain." Right after it said, "You shall not have any other gods before me," or "You should not have any other idols," or "Have no idols." So they're talking about the reverence that God demands for his name and his name alone. And so it kind of goes on to, he said, "I've heard people argue that God's point with the third commandment was to restrict God's name from being used carelessly, but to keep man from invoking God's name as an oath."
Right.
So kind of goes along the same lines. We were just discussing whether the words, "Oh my God," are a sin.
I've heard some people say that you're not supposed to say that. Actually, it's crazy. My wife doesn't like the kids saying that.
What about her oldest kid?
I say it all the time. I say it, but I mean, obviously, I did miss. What was the reason why it's looked down upon? Because I'd be curious to know.
Well, I mean,
Because
I
she must
think
have learned it from somewhere. Because
in
I know
all-
she said it.
Yeah, I mean,
But I've never asked her.
I think in all things we want to glorify or have the ultimate reverence for the Lord, and by using OMG, it kind of has a negative connotation, and so for that purpose alone, we should want to glorify His name to the nth degree. So we use it more of as a
Interjection was
Yeah,
the word I was looking
yeah.
for earlier.
So I just think I agree. I don't know that I would say it's a sin, but I don't believe it's honoring. Therefore, it shouldn't be done. Does that make sense?
Kind of like the GODDAMN. So that's basically about the same thing because that was those two phrases that my wife doesn't like hearing either myself or the kids say.
What about G's? Do you say G's? G's, that's crazy.
No.
That's very much a white people thing.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I shouldn't even be saying OMG, but sometimes I'll say, oh,
we know.
But I'll say it in a, and then I've definitely have used, but I've been trying to pull away from that because
How's
I
that
do see
spelled?
that. Huh?
How's spelled?
So tonight, you've used it at 18 minutes, 24 minutes, 24 and a half, 31, 32.5, 36.3.
What?
OMG.
No.
We have the receipt.
I'm literally about to say, well, now that you put in that, because every time I ask my wife about it, we'll just go back and forth. But she was like, I just don't think you should use it. And I'll be like, well, just
Isn't there
tell me a reason
wisdom?
why.
But even if your wife didn't like something, is there wisdom in that?
Yeah, I understand that. But I'm just saying the way you explained it just was a little bit more thorough. That's why I need a little bit more explanation on it. So that actually makes sense.
Yeah, so the commandment is don't use the Lord's name in vain. Basically, don't use it without purpose. And that's just, general principle, whatever. What we were discussing before you walked in is I think contextually that's a little bit more related to like swearing on his name or essentially swearing on his name. But still, do I want to use his name in any way other than in reverence? Probably
right. Okay.
not.
So what about like I know I say a lot of like if something good happens I always say, oh, thank you God. Like
are you sincerely thanking him?
Yes, I'm like, oh, thank you God.
Well, that's awesome.
So last week,
but I don't say that sarcastically because I do hear people say, "Oh, thank you, Jesus," when they don't mean it, right? Yeah. And that I don't like. I don't like playing around. I don't even like that song Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I hate not like the old Christian song, but the like pop song or whatever.
Yeah.
I hate that song because I hate that they are using the word Hallelujah, which means praise the Lord.
Yeah.
To describe your reaction to sexual scenarios.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that's just odd, weird, nasty song to me. But so many people love it, and a lot of people think it's a Christian song because it has the word hallelujah.
No.
And it's just not,
Stupid. So last week, it was either Wednesday or Thursday. I usually carry, some people call it a man purse, but it's what I carry, what I have the right to carry in the state of Texas. And I had my wallet in there, and I had some cash. And when I came here in the morning, I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it in the house at all, anywhere. And old Alex would have probably just been cursing up a storm, cussing out everybody, beating them attitude. But I promise, I took the time, I prayed. I was like, just please, God, please, I have to find it. Well, come to find out, I accidentally threw it away in the dumpster before we took it out to the trash. And when I went and I basically dived into my little dumpster trash can, I found it, and I literally put the bag down, and I was like, thank you, Jesus, thank you for praying. And like, but I was genuinely saying it, but usually I would have been more sarcastic, like, oh, thank you, Jesus, found it. But no, I literally was, because I was praying on it.
Right.
For like 5 o'clock in the morning until 9, I could not find it anywhere. And then I remembered I went to Target, and I put it inside my Target bag to make it easier just to carry everything out of my car. And then I took the stuff out of the Target bag, and I just threw the whole bag in the dumpster, but my other stuff were in there. So, my wife was helping me look for it, and I wasn't trying to get upset with her, because what do they always say? I mean, I don't know about y'all's significant other, but if you lose something, their main thing they say is, where's the last time you saw it? If I knew where the last time I saw it, I'd just go over there and get it. But I didn't remember. And then all of a sudden,
that was me
like,
with the title.
See? Jonathan, where did you put it last? If I knew, I'd just go and get it. But so I used that, but that's what I was saying, because that's the last time I did say, thank you, Jesus. And then I was cool. But that was done in a good way.
Jesus.
Yeah, okay. Want to say? Learn something new every week.
Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers.
That's pretty good.
Give us a definition of edifying.
To build up.
So
So we want to be able to let not corrupt communication. We don't want worthless words coming out of our mouth. But when we do speak, we want to speak in a way that builds people up, not tears them down.
That's good.
That's God.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know. I'm not saying you wrote that or you saying that. I'm just saying when you put it in the text like that,
Good
you're
job
like,
on that one.
yeah,
He was really cooking.
yeah. That if Jesus was here in present time, he would be the number one rapper for sure.
He did drop some bars, you know. So when
yeah, of course.
I was reading through and just kind of smiling at some of Jesus's humor, because I don't know if y'all have ever just read from that perspective, but he said some funny things. Like he was talking to a woman at the well, and this he basically asks her about her husband. She said, "Oh, I don't have a husband," and he goes, "Yeah, I know. You've had 5." I mean, you read it in King James lingo, and it's like, thou hast, in fact, had 5 husbands, you know, whatever. But then you actually think about what he said. He's basically like, no husband, eh? Want to tell me about the 5 you did have? You know, like, that's pretty funny.
That's why I think those shirts that have Jesus is my homeboy, I think they're awesome. I think whoever created that's just like cool. Because he would
think
be.
they're dumb.
No, he'll be someone that could be sitting next to us and be like, man, be proud of, like, man, that's what I said all the time.
Hey, you missed an opportunity on Easter to have Jesus the ultimate deadlifter.
Yeah. Well, no, I have somebody here that has that shirt that says Jesus is the ultimate deadlifter.
I've seen that one. Someone got me a shirt which said he is risen, and I can't make myself wear it.
Yeah, you're talking about R-I-Z-Z? No.
Like W Riz.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. I was like,
wanted to say that.
What did
Funny.
you say?
Yeah.
W Riz.
I was like, okay, I like the pun. I'm not walking around wearing that, though. There's no way. Thank you for thinking of me, though.
I don't know why that, as much as I make fun of stuff and talk about stuff, I wouldn't wear anything of Jesus that was in humor. And that's weird because I really don't care about a lot of stuff, but
I don't know. Like, I don't know why I don't have a problem with the deadlifter one, but I have a problem with the risen one, because they're both just puns based off of his resurrection. But something about the risen just sounds more disrespectful. You know? Like,
okay, well, that's kind of how I feel about any of them. Unless I'm actually just wearing something that like really shows what he is about. Right. Because, you know, that's the reason why I got fired from Astroworld. So when I worked at Astroworld, our amusement park.
You worked there?
Yeah, I worked there for a long time. So Astroworld.
How long is a long time?
Basically for 2 summers, so 2 years, because I was there for... 2 years is a long time working. I mean, come on, I was only 4. I was 13 and 14
The other day,
years old.
I said something about an experience you had, and Michael was like, "This dude is the cat with 9 lives."
Seriously.
I was like, for real, dude. Anyway.
So when I was working at Astroworld, I was working in the shops. Do y'all remember Astroworld? Did you ever go to Astroworld? So I worked at Astroworld. So my brother was Bugs Bunny, which ironically goes to show how he got into entertainment. So he was doing all the commercials, touring. Astroworld was sending them everywhere. So that's how he got me the job, because I was 13. So I was working in the stores. Because I was like, oh, I'm not going to be in no roller coaster. It was hot. I'm not going to do the games. I want to work in the store because that's where they get paid the most.
Sounds like you.
Yeah, totally. 100% AC and everything. So I'm working in one of the stores in the back where they had a lot of jewelry and all that. So a guy comes in, and he definitely looks like one of my people, like straight from the hood, just straight. So he was like, hey, man, how much for this clock? And I said, oh, I turned around, scanned it. I said, it's $35. Well, it was a clock with an image of Jesus on it. So he goes, oh, okay. And I said, you don't have the money? He goes, oh, nah. I said, man, that's cool, man. I'm going to discount it to you for $10. For real? So I sell it to him for $10. Well, he goes, and I'm looking out the window, and I guess he felt bad. He went and told one of our area supervisors, he's like, hey, man, this guy just sold me this $35 clock for $10. So I saw them talking. They come in. They're like, hey, let's go ahead and clean out your till and meet us at the office. I was like, that's weird. So I cleaned out my till. So I go to the office. Well, I'm sitting in the office like like nothing. Well, he walks by and he's in the window and I see him pointing at me. He goes, and I was like, no way, at him. I was like, oh yeah, that's that dude I saw the clock for. So I'm just chilling. Well, they come in, they're like, hey, we're gonna need to go clean out your locker. Have you ever given discounts to anybody else before? And I go, no. I said, what are you talking about? So they're like, well, the gentleman you sold it to told us that you gave it to him for a discount. I go, yeah, he didn't have the money. Well, you can't do that, so we're terminating. And man, I just started bawling. I was like, what? I said, I'm getting fired? And they're like, yeah, so we're going to go with you to your locker room to clean it out, make sure you don't have any merchandise. I was like, what? I was like, I just sold him, and I'm looking at the dude like, what? And then I was like, it wasn't, at that point, obviously I didn't think about it, but now, I'm like, I cheated Jesus, an item of Jesus, and what other way can you explain it? Like, can somebody after 49 years, or I'm 46, 30, wait, I'm 46, I was 13, like.
So 49 years ago.
33 years later, I'm like, what? Why did that dude snitch on me? I'm like, and it was that big old clock of Jesus. And I'm looking at this dude, I'm like, are you serious? Man, I got fired. My mom had to come pick me up, and they didn't want to press charges for theft because they thought that the clock was 35. I sold it for 10. They thought that I was in a pocket 25, and I was like, I just gave him a discount. You know, he had to sign the affidavit that he doesn't know me, that we weren't family, that I wasn't giving family hookups. They wanted to look at my previous, like, whoever, all my transactions.
Did he get the clock at the end of it?
Yes! I hope he still has it in his living room because he's probably looking at it. But anyhow, so that's why I was thinking. I was like, man, those instances where I look at it now, I'm like, I wonder if it was a Donald Duck or a Bugs Bunny clock, if it would have happened like that. So ever since then, I swear that I don't play with nothing when it comes to Jesus. I don't make light of it. I don't make no shirts. I don't mock it. No. Because at that time I got fired. Man, that was a good job. I was 13 years old making like $50 a week.
But what if you stayed at that job and then you became like this roller coaster guru
100%.
Instead of going on with life?
No, I would have much rather.
Your life would probably be different today because you didn't get fired.
Yes, I would have. No, I would have rather been in Astroworld.
They let you off the hook because you would have sunk with the ship.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's still Six Flags in San Antonio, Six Flags in Dallas.
That's not Astroworld.
Yeah, but they're all part of the Six Flags.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe you wouldn't be where you're at today without being fired from Astroworld at 72 years ago.
And it probably taught you a good lesson, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. Do not trust a Hispanic with a Jesus clock.
Wow.
For sure.
That's not where he was headed.
Oh.
But
What are you talking about, Michael? That's exactly where I was headed.
For the fact of that,
I do think it's interesting that Jesus' figure or image was on a clock. I think that's kind of interesting.
Well, they had a lot of. They had because it was like it was
at Astroworld.
It was
at Astroworld.
So it was in the very back. Y'all remember the Grease Lightning, the one
yes,
big
that was the best.
It was so there was some rain tracks, railroad tracks, and then there was a place where people would go and they would have. It was a lot of wooden clocks, a lot of crosses. You can make a lot of jewelry stuff, and they had a bunch of them with different sayings of Jesus on there. And that was actually the first day I worked at that particular store. Usually, I was at the Looney Tunes store, the big one in the very front.
Fitting.
I was rocking it there. I was selling
discount
everything.
for you.
Yeah.
Discount for you.
No. You get a Jesus clock. You get a Jesus clock.
But for me to have that feeling of like I want to help this guy and then get in trouble for it, I was like, man. And until this, I'm telling you, to this day, I'm like, I sold you a Jesus clock. Why did you snitch on me? Like. He told the truth. But then I was like, it was a Jesus clock. So ever since then, I'm like, nope. I'm not making fun of Jesus. I'm not buying no Jesus in my home.
Okay, so when I was younger, I worked at Chick-fil-A.
3 years ago.
This is owned by a man who owns 3 Chick-fil-A's, right? And I was just through a veteran organization talking to someone who said, oh, yeah, I've gained some weight since I started working at Chick-fil-A. I said, well, what one do you work for? They said, I'm a marketing director for 3 stores in the Woodlands. And I said, oh, was it X, Y, and Z store? And they said, oh, yeah. And I said, oh, yeah, so-and-so's a good guy, the guy who owns them. They're like, oh, that's crazy that you know him. And so we start like comparing stories. She said, did you know this guy and this guy? I said, yes. So anyway, we're talking about all this sort of stuff. So to my friend who I just had that conversation with, if you're listening to this, so while I was at Chick-fil-A, I was working if you're listening and not watching, I just zipped my mouth and threw away the key. So I was working the drive-thru, was very, very good at it. We had a whole system down. We were setting records in the drive-thru and all this sort of stuff. But this meant I was running drive-thru from like 6 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon without a break. I was just going. So I'd grab a fruit cup, generally around lunchtime, just stick it behind my register, and I just popped some fruit throughout lunch, just tied me over until I could get off the shift. Well, I did not pay for that fruit. So as I'm doing that and I'm running the drive-thru, some manager sees it, whatever, makes note of it, and they call me to the back later. They were like, hey, we need to talk to you. Okay, so I sit down. Well, about a week before all of this, I told my friend that I get real shaky if I don't eat for a while. And I was like, I have like some people in my family have like hypoglycemia, so I don't know if that's part of it or if I'm just hungry or whatever, but I get real shaky. I had mentioned that like a week prior. That's not even on my mind. I was just eating fruit because I wanted fruit. I was not shaky. So I enter this meeting and they're like, hey, so we saw you eating fruit in the drive-thru. I was like, yeah, I was eating fruit in the drive-thru. Y'all wanted me to run the drive-thru for 10 hours at a time without food? So yeah, I was eating fruit. And this director is like, listen, so Taylor told us that you may have hypoglycemia or something, and so we totally understand. But if you need to eat, from now on, just tell us something. We'll promo out the food, let you go to the back, let you eat, and then you come back. Just take a minute, but just communicate with us. So we're not going to write you up or anything. Like, we understand it's a medical condition. And I'm sitting there like, bro, I just wanted some fruit. But from then on, I'd be working the drive-thru. I'd be like, hey, my hands are a little shaky. My blood sugar. And they'd send me to the back. I'd scarf down some food, and I'd come back.
Hey, you should have started showing up wearing like one of those medical bracelet things. And they'd be like, "Oh, really?" And you're like, "Yeah, I've been kind of embarrassed about it."
That's the most Alex thing I've heard you say tonight.
Yeah. Hey, can I get a chicken wrap? That's about the only thing that's going to kind of make me feel better right now.
Chicken wrap.
The chicken wrap. Their chicken wrap is actually pretty good.
Their wraps are good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't even trying to make excuses. I was like, yeah, I ate the fruit. Like, but they made the excuse for me. So I was like, okay.
But you for sure didn't say, no, I'm not medical. You're like, yeah.
Today, I promise you, today I'd have been like, look, I appreciate y'all's grace and everything, but I was just hungry. I just took the fruit. Like,
that's all hey, that was the same thing I felt. I felt like, hey, look, I'm just trying to help the guy out who wants Jesus in his life. We're basically the same level. But I would have. But their fruit cups are pretty good too. They taste so fresh and everything. But
they are pretty good.
For that experience, because Chick-fil-A, their drive-thru is like the king of how fast and efficient and quick.
Oh, and they've beat all my records since I left. I mean,
that's
now
crazy.
They've had years to do it, but like the year after I left, they were beating my records 2 years later, because COVID hit 2 years after I left, and all they did was drive through during COVID. So man, they got it down even better. I think my record was 240 something cars in the drive through between 12 and 1. So you average that out, that's like 15 seconds a car or something, just nuts. But I think they like surpassed 300 between 12 and 1 during COVID, because again, that's all they did. Their drive through was just beast.
COVID happened the year after you left Chick-fil-A?
2 years. I think I left in 18. Yeah, I left in 18.
So long ago.
I mean, 6 years ago now. COVID feels like it was yesterday, but that was 4 years ago. It's wild.
Because was Mario working with you? Isn't there a story that he
back in the day? Yep. You know who got Mario the job?
You did. Michael, you worked at Chick-fil-A? What? Oh my god! All three of y'all did?
Daryl.
I did too.
and-
What?
It was.
You got to be kidding me!
Yeah.
Did you?
Uh,
Did you really?
yes.
Did he really?
Yeah.
You got to be.
He was the
kidding
Chick-fil-A
me.
cow.
Who?
I totally see that. What?
No.
Mario's y'all.
April
'Cause you
Fools.
started-
James did not
Oh.
work there, but all the rest of us really did.
Oh my. Why? What, because you are closed on Sunday for
Oh,
church?
Dude, it's gone. I used to have an Instagram post on my old personal Instagram of me in the Chick-fil-A cow suit because I did wear it one time.
I would have totally rocked it.
I wore that a couple times. Larry the Cucumber a couple times.
I've actually never heard of Larry the Cucumber. I know the cow, but Larry the Cucumber? Is it what
Bob and
Chick-fil-A?
Larry?
What Chick-fil-A meal is like a cucumber? That's just like, where do they have cucumbers in Chick-fil-A?
When do they have cows? When do they have beef?
Pause. What are pickles made out of?
Pickles.
Pickled.
I ain't never been asked the question. What are pickles made out of? Pickles. What are grapes made out of? Pickles.
Pickled.
What are oranges made out of?
What does it
Oranges?
say on the jar? Pickled
Shoot, I have no idea.
cucumbers.
I've never.
But even if I was a cucumber in a costume, or if I was in a costume of a cucumber at a restaurant, why does that make the restaurant need to serve that fruit or vegetable?
What?
Like,
Oh my god.
I mean,
what?
hey, I dressed as a cow, and
They don't
Chick-fil-A
serve
doesn't serve
beef.
cow.
Yeah, but that's their whole niche.
what
That's
they
their
do.
whole publicity
That's
thing.
my
they
whole-
get.
So,
So
there
a
should be a
cucumber?
restaurant that's anti-cucumbers, and their mascot is a cucumber.
Yeah, 100%. What do they have at Chick-fil-A that's cucumbers?
Like, what if
The pickles.
Oh, so why don't you say you were dressed up like a pickle? You said cucumber. You were dressed up like as a pickle.